Welcome back. We're on part three of episode 74, and it's time to start talking WrestleMania. Normally, right now, we do the pre show, but I had this set up to where I would talk about the match that feel should have been the pre show as opposed to the
Actual
one that
pre-show.
actually is. So, we're not going to talk Intercontinental Championship yet. We're going to do that in, I guess, like the next part, maybe. What we're going to talk about right now is the mixed tag match between Team Rhodes Scholars, then the Bella Twins against Tons of Funk and the Funkadactyls.
Is that their official tag team now?
I
Yes,
think it
it
is, yeah.
is.
I,
It
I
is.
kind of
They're
like the name
official.
Tons of Funk. It's
It
kind of
works.
It's better than the Dancing Bears.
The what?
Yeah.
The Dancing Bears?
Yeah.
Were they actually being referred to as the Dancing Bears?
I remember Matt Stryker calling them that one night, like a number of times. So I assume that's the name they were going with him for a little bit.
I
They
know.
probably
Tons
found the
of
porn
fun.
site that name was associated with and decided against it.
Yeah, that might be.
I know that the thing that JBL said on Raw was the big rhythmic tomatoes.
He said they look like big rhythmic tomatoes in like their red pimp suits.
So yeah, Tons of Funk is a hell of a better name. So it's Brodus Clay and Sweet Tea, or are they calling him Sweet Tea officially, or is he still just Tensai?
No, he's
I-
Tensai, but Sweet Tea's is a nickname.
Sweet
the
Tea
funk,
is
like
so
the
good.
Funkasaurus is
Yeah.
Brodus Clay's a nickname, but he still goes by Tensai.
Against Cody Rhodes and Damien Sandow and Nikki and Brie Bella.
Okay.
The way that this match came about is they brought the Bella Twins into WWE back again and essentially just threw them together with Rhodes Scholars, and then it makes perfect sense for them to have this kind of a match. I mentioned as soon as they showed up with that segment, uh, with the four of them talking, I immediately was going, you know what, we should have a 4-on-4 match at WrestleMania. I had that down under my predicted matches for a long time, and they took a little while before they did it, which got me a little bit nervous that they were going to have something else. But it makes sense to do this match. My problems with it are more so because I think Cody Rhodes and Damian Sandow deserve better. But at the same time, when you have a card for WrestleMania, a lot of people have to take a back seat. And I will run down this WrestleMania card a lot throughout these predictions because I feel that it's very lackluster in a lot of different ways. But this is one match that I don't think is one of those. I do think that this should have been the pre-show as opposed to on the main show with the Intercontinental title being switched and all that. That is a disappointment to me. And other than that, really, I don't have much of a disappointment. I think that this could be a decent match. The Funkadactyls, they did pretty decent on
Yeah.
Raw. I mean, Naomi's proven herself pretty well over the past couple times that she's wrestled, so I'm not worried about her. Cameron, as long as they keep her
And
off
she's
on
gonna
the
be
side
limited.
and she doesn't really do much, then there you go. The Bella Twins, they're as good or better than they were before, so that's fine. It should mostly be the four men, and why not? I mean, you have to have some kind of
Yeah.
bathroom breaky type of thing.
Yeah,
So,
the filler match, and I was thinking for a while that the Divas weren't even going to get it on the card in any capacity with how it was being booked
they
leading
still
into the
might.
pay-per-view.
They still might, but
Doubtful, but
the rumor with that is that they might add Caitlyn and AJ to the tag match.
I don't believe
I hope
that.
not.
They
That would be
would have done that by now or announced it on Raw. That's way too much of a change to make just on the internet.
Yeah, I don't
It's
think
still-
they're gonna do it, but you
Nah.
never know. I mean, they have done things in the middle of nowhere on pay-per-views before, so
They could do like a vignette at some point during the pay-per-view of something going on backstage.
they
No,
could always
please, let's
have.
not ruin that tag title match. I'm actually looking forward to that match. Please, let's like you can bring. We'll talk about that later, but
Yeah, we'll talk about
yeah, we'll touch upon it. But
for
I
this
condone
mixed
this
tag
match.
well, what do you guys think is like the real story behind this? Do you think that this is gonna? I have one thing that I a theory in my mind, and I'll talk about it when everybody's done, unless somebody brings it up. But I do think that something is going to happen here that's going to make a little bit of a difference in the roster. But as far as you guys, what are you looking forward to, or are you disappointed with this match, or win that kind of a
I
thing?
condone it for one reason and one reason only. It gets both Rhodes and Sandow on the actual live card. I would have been pissed if they weren't booked at all or if they were on the pre-show.
Like
I'm-
Cesaro.
Yeah. I voiced my opinion on that already, but I'm just glad because I'll get to see Damien come out and do his whole intellectual shtick on like grand stage and talk as he walks all the way down the ramp. That'll be entertaining as hell. Forget the match quality. I can't wait to hear some Sandow ease on the way to the ring.
Hell
Sandow.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's why I condone it. It gets both of them on the card, and man, Sandow, he just Man, I love that guy. He's awesome. So as much as they could do better, I am glad that we'll actually see them on the live pay-per-view. Cool. It's a decent filler match.
The only disappointing part for me is how predictable the match result is. Like, the last 2 weeks, Rhodes Scholars got a victory and the Bellas got a victory over the girls. So it's pretty obvious that the faces are going to win at Mania. So it's like, yeah, the match result is pretty obvious. So that part's disappointing. But the match itself makes sense. I'm fine with it. It's a good filler match.
There's enough faces that are going to be winning on this pay-per-view. I'm actually picking the heels to do a clean sweep.
It's wrestling 101 basically with this match. It's all back to basics as far as the storytelling. It's good guys versus bad guys, and it's the good guys are going to come triumphant or whatever about that. As you said, it gets a spot for everyone we want to see on the card. We're seeing Rhodes and Sandow. We're seeing the Bellas. The Funkadactyls are actually going to be wrestling too. I mean, out of all the divas that we would have thought would be wrestling at WrestleMania, who would have thought it would be the Funkadactyls?
Certainly wouldn't have been Natalia the way that they're using her.
Yeah, so it's a whatever match. It's a pillow match, as I like to call it. It's something that just fluffs in between two of the bigger matches, brings the crowd down, gives them a good
like
time.
The
maybe
match 2 years ago or whatever.
Exactly. I'm actually surprised if they have some type of celebrity involvement. Maybe they have like a celebrity timekeeper or something with this match.
Burhan?
I see this as one of those matches where it's going to be a throwaway. I would rather have seen Rhodes Scholars in the tag team title picture, believe it or not, because I think the team deserves a lot better than wrestling with the I don't know what to call them, the pillow fluffers or whatever.
Pillow fluffers.
The end of the day, it's it's one of those where you're gonna either like it or you're not gonna like it, and I'm not a big fan of the Bellas as wrestlers. I don't think out of anybody on the roster who probably deserves a shot at WrestleMania. I don't think the Bellas should be, just due to the fact that they're back in the WWE so early, basically after like quitting wrestling. But yeah, it's great to see Rhodes Scholars doing something at least and trying to gain a slice of that WrestleMania pie. So we'll see how
actually
that
on
goes.
the card, on the pay-per-view rather than the pre-show. So
yeah, but again, the same thing for me is I would have rather had them on the pre-show and have like a title being defended at the pay-per-view, like the Intercontinental Championship or the United States Championship on the pay-per-view itself. But
I'm sorry. If not the Bellas, what divas would you have on the pay-per-view?
Well, I would necessarily probably would have had the Divas champion, but Caitlin's shit, so
exactly. Like
there's not
the whole division is
say
just a
about the
mess.
Divas division, but that's not. I wouldn't say that's Caitlin's fault. I say it's the WWE's fault for not maintaining some focus. Even if it's the slightest bit of focus on the Divas division. When Finlay was running things, you had a lot more Divas vying for the championship. Now it just seems to be something that they're just not really having any importance in. Maybe they're saving it till after Mania, or maybe they're just thinking about doing away with the Divas division altogether. Who knows? But that's where I would have had it.
I think it's time to turn the page to a new time in the women's division, huh?
Yeah, I see what you did there.
Yeah.
Now, I'll commend them on the way that the Divas are being booked this year for WrestleMania. This is how I think that it should go. Everybody knows, and it's not a surprise, that the Divas division is absolute shit, and it's been for years. And nobody ever buys the WrestleMania card because they want a Divas match. So having a match like this where you can include the Funkadactyls and the Bella Twins and actually 4 wrestlers that deserve a spot on the card is the exact way that they should be doing this kind of stuff. And the same applies to when we talk about the tag team title match. If they decide to have an AJ and Caitlyn match, which I don't necessarily think that they will do, I would rather them be included into that and kind of just do that kind of a thing instead of giving time to them separately. Because I don't think that you should really spend any time on the Divas when it comes to WrestleMania, unless you are gifted enough to have those few matches that actually matter. I mean, if we had a Trish Stratus against Natalia match, then it would be a different story. But if you have Caitlyn as their champion, I don't want to see anything that she's gonna bring to the pay-per-view. So
again, it's more so on a booking perspective. They haven't focused And I'm not saying focused as in they need to put all their attention on it. They just haven't had somebody who's focused on the division and allowed it to sort of gain some sort of momentum, so you can at least have something credible enough to place on the pay-per-view.
Well, they don't have the foothold for it either because they don't have the talent.
Yeah, well, they
AJ
do
and
have the talent.
Natalia, you know, but
They do have
Caitlyn
the
is.
talent. They have a lot of women on the next roster, the NXT roster, who have done a lot independently for the women's division. And the thing is, if you look at promotions like Shimmer, for instance, they know how to do women's wrestling and they do it right. It doesn't sell as much as the men do, but it still has some sort of value in the industry itself. And as
It does
you said,
have a market,
yeah. And if
even
you
if it's not
combine
big, but
but it still has some sort of semblance. And if you have a sort of a match where you have two talented women going at it and pulling like all the punches, then of course you're going to be entertained. But the whole issue at the moment is the average fan, and I'm not even talking about the actual wrestling fans, more the casual fan, sees the Divas division as a piss break, and it's been associated with it for so long that nobody's going to give any of these girls a chance. Now, that's probably led to what's happened at the moment and how badly booked the division has gone. And it's given us stuff like this tag team match with the Bellas. Now, as I said, I haven't got an issue with the Bellas as individuals, but as wrestlers, I don't feel that they're the cream of the crop in terms of the roster. And for me, I'm happy to see the fact that Rhodes Scholars are doing this, but I just I don't feel this match has been given enough time and value to be in the position that it is, and it's just going to be one of those things where we'll be like, yeah, okay, it happened.
Now, this is the thing that I wanted to throw out there. One of the things I'm going to mention, there's a couple recurring themes that I'm going to bring up in every single part of this. One of them is going to be the concept that they booked too many rematches. One of them is going to be that I feel that they didn't set up a lot of these feuds admirably enough. And another one is going to be the active roster after WrestleMania. As we know from experience, most people leave after WrestleMania when they have injuries and all that kind of stuff. There's been rumors that the following people might be out of the active roster. The Rock, Undertaker, CM Punk, Triple H, Brock Lesnar, and there was somebody else. I can't remember who it was. Chris Jericho. So take that into account when I bring this up in every different segment. The way that factors in with this, what I think is going to happen here is not only is the team of Tons of Funk and the Funkadactyls going to win, but quite possibly Cody Rhodes takes the pinfall, and either on the Monday Night Raw afterward or the subsequent Raw after that, we see a split with Rhodes Scholars. I think that they teased it a little bit ahead of time with Cody Rhodes flirting with Caitlyn and Sandow kind of telling her to go fuck off. And the way that Cody Rhodes has been getting cheered with the mustache and all that, I think that all combined with his relative staleness, which he's pretty good at changing his character around a little bit when he needs to. I think that he's going to turn into a babyface and have a feud with Damien Sandow after WrestleMania. So either they lose this match and there's a face turn afterward with that, or it happens on Raw or the Raw after that. But I do think that it's coming, and I think that it's a necessity that the Tons of Funk team wins this. So I would not be surprised at all if we see Cody Rhodes take a pinfall here. The Bella Twins leave their association with Rhodes Scholars by saying, well, Cody Rhodes lost and fuck him. He's not good enough for us. Damien Sandow gets pissed off and they do something to split the two of them up. What do you guys think?
I could dig something like that happening. My only opposition would be I really liked the first time that they split up where they did it amicably and they're just like, all right, we're still going to be best friends, but we're going to focus on our singles careers.
That rarely happens ever, and then all of a sudden they became a tag team again. It's like,
yeah, if this just ends up being another barbershop window incident, it's I don't know. I feel like it sullies both of them. They're gentlemen, and I think they should part ways gentlemanly.
And like Rhodes becoming a face and getting a whole bunch of fan support at the expense of Sandow, how does that help Sandow at all? Rhodes is more established than him on the roster.
Well, if you have a legitimate feud between the two of them, then it helps them both out. Because
I
you
think
don't need to have one become the Marty Jannetty like they always say. You could always just have the two of them feud.
Yeah, but you know the reason why Marty Jannetty became the Marty Jannetty.
That's because of Marty Jannetty.
Yeah,
But it's because
it's not.
no, it's
It's not
because it was
because of-
Shawn Michaels.
No, I disagree. It's because the guy had a lot of issues. He won the Intercontinental Championship from Shawn. He was gonna be spearheaded into a big push, and he ended up killing his push. Jannetty had a lot of demons, still does, and in the end, he's the downfall of his own career. Now, going back to the whole Rhodes Scholars situation, if it's booked right, then great. But the WWE has a tendency to fast pace these things.
Mm-hmm.
Literally just rush things and get it out of the way and then move the guys onto another feud. That's what's going to be the problem. I believe this feud for both Sandow and Rhodes, it could either elevate them or depush them if they go that route. And I can see that they are hinting at it a little bit because they've had this situation with Rhodes and Caitlyn, as you've stated, Tony. So we can look at that and say, well, let's see what happens. Let's see how it goes, and let's see if they're going to actually invest the time into these two guys, which I think they will.
Well, that'll sum up all the talk about this should have been pre-show but isn't pre-show match between Tons of Funk and Funkadactyls against Rhodes Scholars and Bella Twins. Next part, in part 4, we're going to talk about the Fandango and Chris Jericho match.
No, you could do better than that.
We will in the next part.
Okay.